these players getting that parachute straight towards the ground floor of the jungle, getting amidst it with the other players to ultimately do battle. They have looked forward to this, I promise you. I promise you. Gladiators up towards that northwest side, alongside with 628 in Hatin. Reject Tokyo actually dropping Reiji Osio again down towards Trifecta compound. This happened yesterday. One of the players from Gladiators was able to spot him out, take him down earlier on. I think that was, in fact, Tixie. So definitely a possibility for that to happen again.
Ravenclaw out close to Sarah as well from Reject Tokyo.
I think that is a bug. It's a bug we'll have to live with, which is the big arrow through the map. That's okay, though.
Yes. Well, we'll know where the plane path was.
Forever.
Yeah.
It would say.
Do not rehost this on our account, please. We are going into this one. I don't mind.
Totally okay with this.
This is actually, I like it.
Yeah, this is absolutely fine. It's going to give some great insight towards the rest of the game. Cao Dailan right now versus Tiamba. Now, what do you think of Tiamba? Well, I think they're pretty good to start off with.
I think that's gone pretty well for them. Infinity IQ, though, as we said before, not in the best of forms. Unless you're Bensu, it hasn't been the greatest of showings from them. It hasn't been the greatest of showings of D+ Kia compared to their previous performances either, but over in Paradise Resort, they are once more embroiled into the thick of it straight away. But no one going down just yet. No one taking damage either. Ragnar, the GK, getting himself tucked back in towards the Sun Lounges.
Bensu and the boys, pretty much.
The Bensu Brigade.
The Bensu Brigade. Bensu and the extras. We could be here all day, really. There is the 2023 PMWI crate, though. That is not here all day. It is here.
Well,
Well, it is here for a bit longer.
It is actually here all day.
That's true. It is here all day. But it is only here all month. It's available from July 15th through till August 15th. Pick yourself up some PUBG Mobile swag to commemorate the PMWI main tournament, not the secondary rock, paper, scissors tournament, of course.
That will only live on in our hearts.
Exactly. Exactly, John. Stalwart up on high currently, over towards boot camp. They do have Icy scouting down towards Reject at the moment. Now, Stalwart got a great game yesterday.
They did.
On Sandhawk. They didn't move, though, right? I think that's the main thing to look at, whether they had absolutely nowhere to go. And even then, Fireflux did give them a nice run for their money towards the end, as did Alter Ego. With Octa, Box were able to put up some decent performances yesterday, John. Currently sat in 5th place, 41 points. Not bad at all.
Yeah, pretty solid overall performance, but you do need to be pumping those numbers a little high if you want to step up to the Vampires, because seemingly they are untouchable. Certainly in day ones, right, of these tournaments. It's the same story as we saw back in the All-Stars stage. They're day 2, though, and we spoke to Sertania about this. They're worried about continuing that power into day 2. It wasn't the best of showings, but with the circle sitting as it is here on Sandhawk, it's probably quite good news for them. They don't have to make that hard break out to the east as fast as they maybe would given any other circles. It hasn't quite decided whether or not it's going to that southwest island fully or going over to the mainland on Sandhawk, but it's going to give them more time to play around. On the flip side, though, that coastal, that side of the river, that eastern bank of that river, is going to be a lot more packed with players. So that crossing could be way, way harder.
D+ Kia getting back to this engagement with GK. Now, Max said he really did not want to see this happening again. They had a whole 2 hours to reconsider this. They haven't. They still want to go for this over in Paris Resort. Very stubborn. Only one more Sandhawk. They still want to make this happen here. There are several locations around the map. You know, Kampong, Docks, Lakawi. Fairly open around Alpha 7, though Alpha 7 do like their space, their area. Don't like too many teams getting through there. 628 looking over towards Gladiators as they sail on past. Sune, rest of the squad inside the vehicle. 33Z won't be able to hit those shots. They will move straight through over towards that trifecta compound. Have to be a little bit careful here, considering they know that there's some players over towards trifecta at the start from Reject. Luckily, they've moved further down towards that south side. On the edge of the bridge now, just hovering.
There have been some scenarios where Gladiators have held on that northwestern island and just sort of stayed over towards that hilltop and Camp Alpha late into circles where they know that they will eventually need to leave. This time is not one of them. Even Matic has regrouped with them, which is good news for what we wanted to see from this roster. Ooh, a little knockover towards Stalwart from Reject Tokyo. That is not ideal, but that does look, yeah, that looks resable for Icy. They can drop that smoke and be really quite safe. Long-range shots from Reiji, just keeping that suppression onto the position that they have on the hill south of boot camp. They will be able to maintain that, however. So just stay head down, nice and safe. Will reduce the pressure actually from the east side onto the Gladiators.
Yeah, Reggioso probably the most standout player to emerge from the Japanese region. I don't think you could really talk about any other player who has had such a big impact as him. I think obviously Divine back in the day was very good, but it was a few clutch moments here and there. But I think Reggioso has just been consistently very strong.
Yeah.
The rest of the team has just rallied around him. Like Sara's been in the game a long time, Lufa as well. So honestly, I do think Reggioso has carried them slightly. But it's more of a case that he's able to stand up to these international lobbies, whereas the rest of the guys are just a little bit behind. So maybe could learn a thing or two from their teammate.
He's the engine that you put in the chassis of the team. And he has been driving them forwards. Fantastic to see. Hopefully a little bit more power to be squeaked out of that one in today's games. It is a very, very tough lobby. So even being towards the bottom of the tables, getting any points in this is certainly a task. Circle shifts down south. Leans towards the southwest island, doesn't fully decide on it just yet again, but a lot of teams on that south side will be a lot happier. You can see Fireflux decide that they want to be one of those teams.
Yeah, if you're one of the northern teams now and you're moving down south, it does pose this problem right now where we are tilting over towards the southwest island. It's really difficult to cross that river in the end game. We already see, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just me. A lot of teams over towards that north side who will all have to cross that.
Sesame Street.
What, county?
Yeah. They do numbers there, don't they?
That is correct.
I've heard that.
It's also just called math.
I'll accept maths.
Yeah. Anyway, when you start doing words, I'm just going to say Sesame Street from now on.
That's good.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. So the bridge, though, as I was saying, there's 9 teams because we can count to 9. Obviously, I've improved. It's really difficult to cross that river come to the late game, especially at its most thick points. There are some bridges, some very shallow regions that you can cross over quite easily, but a lot of teams will be pushed out of that position early on, which is why you are seeing quite a few teams pushing up towards Painan and on the edge there. You don't really want to give up too much space down towards the southwest side, towards Sami. You want to ensure yourself in a position where you basically have 3 shots towards these teams on the north side. In the meantime, Fabian takes a tumble. Forest equally going low, and Rosemary taking down Mafioso from Alter Ego.
This fight has been going on for a long, long time. A standoff in Paradise Resort finally bubbling over and ending up with DK on the better end of the deal. Forest has other things to say about him. He doesn't have any meds. He's on the outside. He's doing damage, but will fall down. And with him, D plus Kia are eliminated. Both of these teams, they stuck around for too long. Nobody wanted to leave. And because of that, Tiamba are just going to move straight on past and pick up some points, I'd imagine.
Yeah, this could be a really easy squad wipe for Tiamba at the end of the day. Just hovered around this area. And for D plus Gear, this is just not in their wheelhouse, right? I think they're a great central team. They play very good. They take excellent angles, have some amazing sight lines, and some players with unreal aim on their side. So the fact that they're just holding out Paris Resort, a Southwest Island finish, doesn't make too much sense to me. Now, Tiamba's coming through, drops some Molotovs down. Ren quite close to the rest of the guys. Really nice Molotov, in fact, just spreads on the floor. I think there was 2 tossed in there. Now Satan left remaining. Big hit. We'll find at least one.
For a second as well, nearly gets it, but doesn't have any meds. The blue zone is there. The nade through the window, and Tiamba pick up the points. That's what we said we wanted to see. 3 eliminations found. They can get the res onto the teammate there, so should be able to pick that up. They will have had the meds that they haven't had to bleed out and not been able to loot from being stuck in that standoff in Paradise Resort. They'll be absolutely fine on that northeast side. The difficulty they'll face is that they're coming into the circle very, very late, Blink.
Yeah, and I mean, by the time they get to... Wow, that is...
nasty.
That is really grim. Alpha 7 definitely thrown a bit of a bone here. So wag their tail at, because I would be very happy at this kind of thing happening to me. I think for them, they were worried about getting across with Alter Ego, having full information on their position, the widest part of the river, going down towards Camp Charlie to cross. Now it's completely indecisive in between. Alter Ego can't really spend too much time on just trying to take more shots over towards their position. They need to protect over towards southwest side. DRS currently moving in. As a Vampire, 628 also looking towards that position. And the Gladiators have waited a long time for something like this to happen, and they've finally decided they're going to head towards the north side. And I think that's a smart decision, right? Yes, they were lackluster on the approach, but you wait, you're patient, and you know the north side's going to be far more clean than down towards the south. That's where most players would have assumed this was finishing. So there should be some compounds available for them to pick up. Because Tiamba's not here. DK and D plus Kia have been locked in combat for a long time. Practically thrown away their Sandhawk because of this.
Bad luck on that one. Stalwart. Spot Kitsune. He's taking a tumble in the buggy. He needs to be very careful here. Gets the acceleration from the hill. Gravity playing on the side of the Gladiators. Seeing them safe a little bit longer. Top. Or Stalwart playing in one of the hardest compounds to move past, to move in towards, should you need to. But it's right on the edge of the circle. So not really on the cards for Gladiators to push straight through. But Icy's going to break out, actually, on that north side and maybe crash into the Gladiators' rotational path.
Yeah, Icy swinging out like that. Gets some good rotation done. Just tries to figure out whereabouts these guys are playing. But with a 3-man squad already and outside the vehicles take shots, that could be a bit of a dangerous opposition to take there. There is a compound up towards that northern side. I don't think Gladiators are going to take that one. They'd rather just pick up the high ground over in this position within the tree line. If you do play this spot, though, you have to be careful about players like this. Just snaking their way up the hillside. They can get so very close. And there's only so many positions you can play up here anyway. Between the rocks, this is one of the most common positions up towards one of these Simba perches.
On the east side, this is a little bit further southeast of the Gladiators engagement. Tiamba pick up one and maybe a second as well over towards Bensu on Infinity IQ. Now just Ferrari remains. Tiamba all still alive. Playing on this east side, they've managed to march south effectively. A nade from Ferrari does the job for one. Onto Tianyu as he launches a second, looking for YDD, and he gets it done as well. Can lob this Molotov through, and there's no one from Tiamba now looking to go for this res immediately. The circle pops and it heads up north. Ferrari on the hillside, and Ren tries to pick up the shots, but Ferrari gets a third. He's getting the knocks done, and he's making it work. Now it's just over, and he's already low. The rollover from the vehicle sends it out wide, and now he's really left wondering what the hell just happened. Ferrari taking them for a spin.
I mean, a 1v3 already. over, gets the heal off, moves round. Gladiators off in the distance. He's trying to spot this player. Alpha 7 also making their way in to steal up the remainder of these points. A nade in hand. It looks like Ferrari's actually trying to finish the job. He does hear the shots though, and Carrillo sends a pretty well-placed grenade. Ferrari has complete information of Over's position, already done a little bit of damage towards it. I think Ferrari would like to finish off this fight.
Certainly would. I mean, we thought it was only Bensu on this roster, but no. Seemingly they got some power in back pockets they haven't been able to dig through just yet. And there it is. Tiamba are going to be eliminated.
It's a 1v4.
IQ. It was a 1v4 with the assist from Alpha 7. I'll give him the caveat on the end.
No assist. No assist. He actually took down Ferrari all on his lonesome before he got taken out by Alpha 7. So it's just a classic 1v4.
Oh.
And 628 comes through to do a reject Tokyo. Sara moves out from the side, and 33Z with low HP. He's got the Berserker mode running strong.
Moving through. 628. Want to keep up the pace from yesterday. Sunan chunking away with that DBS. Into Painan they go. And a statement they've made as well. Sunan can get res there. They'll be happy on that one. On the south side in the meantime, Alter Ego, who have lost Potato already, playing as 3, facing off against DRS, who are on 2 with 1 knock. Rosemary, though, gets a little bit bold with a nade, and Delta changes the tune a little bit too fast for their liking. Gianti bleeding out, not going to be resable now. Delta and Killer, kind of the 2 players you want from DRS to go ahead into the game. Fnatic and Octa for Alter Ego on the south side, just trying to get out of dodge.
It's a good step up from Rosemary, but an even better one coming through from Delta. That stand-up there, it comes out so surprising to Rosemary as he crawls his way into position. Alter Ego down towards his southeast compound to keep him safe for the time being. We got the box formation down towards that central side. We saw them moving around a lot yesterday, which is a little bit out of character for Box Gaming, but this time around they're heading over towards that compound, which is now dead set one of the best places to take the win on this game. It is down towards the low ground though, so right now Gladiators have a little bit of advantage in terms that they have all this high ground ridge to play around with. Action very close towards their position, as are Alpha 7. Vampire still going strong. They take down easy from Twisted Minds.
Never count the Vampires out. Schweppes launches the DBS to easy and picks up the point. 2 eliminations found. They've been crunching in from this west side, playing together nicely. That route out of Painan, though, we know how dangerous that's always going to be. The Gladiators on the high ground sort of been giving them trouble for a while, but with Icy low and already having lost a player as well, they don't have the presence that they once did on the north side of this position.
They have shifted over. Now, I was talking to Kale earlier today about Gladiators, and I think he brought up a really good point. Just saying that, honestly, some of the rotations that Matic takes, some of the off angles he does, just isn't really worth it anymore because he's not finding those shots anyway. He'd be better off with the team, with the ability to go for a refrag. And it does feel like their splits are far closer together already here on Sandhawk, just moving through. A lot of times when they're leapfrogging locations, it is in very quick succession. Nice nade from Schweppes. It's what you expect from the Vampire squad. They really have changed the game when it comes to nades.
Nice. Another one. 2 perfectly placed nades. That's how you want to be spending your ordnance. Killer wants to put one back amongst them, but we'll see what he's able to get done there. As Twisted Minds get picked apart by 628 on the far side of the river in Painan. 33Z actually spotted. Killer still at the back of Vampire. Schweppes goes down, pushing out Painan. Very, very deadly there. Box stay in the circle. Gladiators close to the edge, but will the high ground keep them in the circle?
Yeah, that high ground they'll have to descend from. Senetexa Takes a fall. That's from Team Falcons, in fact. All the way on the eastern side. That's on the edge of the circle. But Box Gaming should be on for a chicken dinner. They play things correctly. There is still a lot of things that can happen. Switch things up. Fireflux yet to have moved from their position down on that south side. They'll have to bridge in the circle at the moment. Much needed.
Neither player going down there. That was a really close fought trade. Molotov goes long and stops the close angle being peaked, but Stone goes down to a nade from Sunar in the blue zone, pushes onto Vampire first in this scenario, but neither team going to be happy about it. Falcons have moved up to Alpha 7 in the meantime, and Revo now looking to rampage around the rock side with the DBS. And Falcons fall in their face, but Gladiators are here for the third party. We've seen this from them yesterday. They move straight in as soon as they hear those gunshots ring out. The nades can start to pour in, but they're being answered. The Molotov to slow the Gladiators, the burn around the side forces Revo to take a peek on a single angle. The Gladiators are safe from the west for the time being, but they cannot let it go down. For Revo to stay alive and take one of their players will be disaster.
I mean, in clutch scenarios, Revo's the worst person to come up against, especially with DBS in hand. Still 4 bullets left in the chamber. We'll have to reload soon. And Meku will finish him off. Vampires make the swim across the river, but 628's there. But Tony K, once again, this guy is an absolute blaster when it comes to the lobby.
Runs straight across as well, but gonna get caught away. Picking up the points. Stalwart steal a lot of those. 628 now just with Yang One. A player that we wanted to watch out for today, but box across the open ground. Get the shift, they get the circle, the compound nigh on unassaultable.
It's going to be very difficult to get towards this compound coming down from pretty much open ground, right? Stalwart, again, another good result here on Sandhawk. Converting that is the big deal. Gladiators and Stalwart both only on 2 limbs either side. So a very quiet game, looking for those placement points. Now, second place is where things start to get a little bit juicy. Third place still isn't a huge amount of placement points in the third. Max Mann's player to watch from yesterday opens up with a fantastic knockout over towards the Gladiators, but Box Gaming look out that way too.
Stalwart actually left really, really hard up against the blue zone here. Action, probably not, can't get this res. Probably could just sit behind the rock here, try and heal out, try and stay alive for as long as possible. Cannot get this healing done. Box are moving out.
Yeah, Box know they have to move out from this building. It gets a little easy with that high ground to just spot these players moving from this building. You wonder how long they've been here. They don't have the smokes and they're blown to pieces.
A nade sent back towards Matic gives a little bit of retribution, but it's 3 versus 2 now for Box on the inside. Gladiators have the run of the outside, and the uphill ramp means that the roof gets in the way of Peaks. You get a little bit of respite from that for Gladiators. They'll need to break out wide. Matic rezzed.
Gladiators a 4v2, looking to open up the day with a good start. Talking to Kitsune this morning, saying these guys, they start to get fast towards the end of tournaments. Day one, it doesn't matter, lad. You guys start to pop off towards the end. But I mean, Gladiators stepping up right at the start of day 2. That bodes very, very well. Slowly making their way down. Duck from Box, who had a really big impact yesterday, looks to hold off this off angle.
Tixie out in the open. Great sightline. So Duck's position, but he nearly gets naded out. Has to reposition fully. Cannot afford to fall in this spot. All 4 players active for Gladiators is huge, though. Truong on the inside gets the heal off, but the blue zone will push them first, and Gladiators are waiting. They've established their line of fire. They just need to win the trades blank. 8 eliminations for Box from their seemingly indomitable compound, but now they're going to have to leave it. The safety of the walls no longer there for them. The smokes have bloomed and Gladiators are playing on the outside. Kitsune breaks down. Truong looks for the trade, and Meku not going to go down just yet, but takes a lot of damage. Falls to the floor again. Duck drawn low as well. Meku breaks up and wide, allows the push forwards. Duck is low, but not out of it just yet. Finally, he falls as the trade comes through for Tixie, and Kitsune finishes the deal. Gladiators pick it up from the top of the hill, pick up the points they need, and a great start for their resurgence in day 2.
Goodness me, Kitsune comes through with the box cutters in the backside. Slashes that cardboard box. Flux averaging 3.33 eliminations on our angle. One more after this one as well, and another. Treating you to 3 angles total. Fireflux still have to make some better decisions in that end game. Right now, they're just freezing up, man. They're getting the old freezes towards the end game.
Not Fireflux. Freeze flux. Right
exactly.
Now.
They need to fire thaw themselves out at the end game. Because they are not fire flawed. They could be fire perfection if they so wanted to be. Just gonna let that sit. It needed to rest. That is for sure.
Oh dear. Well, let's hope they make better decisions than that in their end game, because that's what we're going to be looking out for.
What do you mean? That was fantastic.
Coming into minute 15, they have shunted up towards that north side of the river. So most teams actually looking to make that decision now, actually. You've got GK making a same choice to move up past Rossok. D plus Kia as well. Maybe look for an outpost there on the northeast side of Rossok.
Yeah, a lot of teams actually heading up towards the north side of the map at the moment. D plus Kia no longer harassed by GK. By Twisted Minds on their eastern side. The Fireflux, who will be heading directly into close quarters combat with GK themselves. Alpha 7 moved up towards northwest edge of shooting range, just outside of Severny. I think a couple of players from Gladiators actually have sightlines over towards the Alpha, if left unchecked. Box Gaming up towards that northeast side of the lake. Nice flat land around that area. Good sightlines down towards the southeast. So realistically, their big threat will be Alter Ego. Crazy.
This is a really unkind circle for a lot of reasons, right? You've got a lot of teams who have decided that they want to go north, but it's still very much possible that this finishes in a Yasnaya Fields ending, right? So those bridges become prime real estate. Box Gaming's outpost position, really, really solid for them.
I think we were that's crazying at different things, sadly. I was that's crazying at the fact that right now Tony K is 1,500 damage ahead of anyone else, and also Vampires have the top three highest eliminators in the lobby right now.
Crazy.
Which is really big. Also, the circle is pretty unkind. Again, that river is always a bit of a problem, but I think most teams will just congregate around these areas. There's a lot of positions at this side of the map. But you can play the ridge sides, get some high ground to your advantage, get some of these compounds. This is a very typical compound. The Vampire is currently playing the 3-story. One of the few in this area, in fact. Obviously, it's a little bit further down in terms of elevation, but made up for the fact that Shreps can get on the roof. Have a peek out, pull up the telescope, get an idea of what's around them. In the meantime, this will give more time for teams in the lobby to head over. Gladiators have yet to push in. I think being very cautious of Alpha 7, who I'm sure they noticed around their area earlier on, John. But I like Fireflux's position. I think they have pushed it a bit further than we've seen before, which is really important.
You've got D plus Kia right next to the bridge as well in a really solid spot. Very, very difficult to move past that area without their say-so. Unless you're just going to crash straight into them and try and take their compound, it's pretty hard to move around. And that could be very, very troublesome if the circle breaks down southeast side. If it shrinks on towards them as well, it's a great fortress to be able to hold out in.
Team Falcons, one of the few teams, in fact, one of the only teams outside in the blue, passing Mansion itself over towards the fielded region. 628. He were on a real tear yesterday, actually. And some really good work. Max highlighted Yang 1 as his player to watch today. Hasn't done too much so far, but they certainly were a team that started blasting out towards the end of the day. 2 really high elimination count games in a row. Miramar to Miramar, and that might just be, you know, their playground, which is Miramar, where they have the most success on it. But we'll see as we head further into the match. Gladiators doing, oh, Matic. They've got overconfident after their last game.
I hope not.
Matic's leash has been completely let out.
The circle does isolate a little bit to the northern side now, Blank, so these teams all playing up towards those Yasnaya fields going to have to make fast moves. Stalwart, Twisted Minds, DRS, Reject Tokyo, 628 as well as Falcons. I mean, they have so few choices, few options in their arsenal to move through, and all of them are very, very dangerous.
Yeah, the pizza slice, man. An interesting place to finish. I think if you're Fireflux right now, though, you do have a big responsibility for the western side. A lot of other teams are relying on Fireflux to actually take down the teams who are floating through that bridge. But yeah, you're right. There's really not a lot of opportunities to get through. This is one of those weird circles where there's Rozhok Bridge, there's Yaz West Bridge, and there's also the offshoot just underneath Stalber. But these are all very, very close quarter situations.
Okay.
D plus Kia got down towards the south side of Fireflux. They regroup. Now Seyden will have to face off against Easy, not able to do it.
The crash starting well for Twisted Minds here. They managed to get a knock on the opener. Satan falls next as well. Only Rolkis falls in response. And now it's just Fabian and Osal to try and keep themselves in this one. But Twisted Minds have other ideas. Rolkis down and flushed. Dammy also knocked, but with Fabian out of it, the heal needs to come through for Forest. Has that first aid. Not really too many stims to worry about. Fireflux are chiming in as a third party. Vampire have rolled up close as well. Not right into the fray. The Forest descends from the top. The attic was his respite, but no longer will it be. Twisted Minds with a blinder of a push onto D plus Kia's compound.
Yeah, Fabian there tried to help the rest of his team, and in the end, not able to do it with Forest. And trying to blow the dust off the books, but eventually those books were placed back in the attic to rot away. And we'll see D plus Kia again in the next game, but not here. And for the Korean team, this is a sad start to their tournament indeed. The main tournament here at PMWI. Vampire, under all that chaos though, we're able to get far in towards the circle. In comes the Infinity action. Takes down Bensu. The big damage dealer. Ferrari though, definitely stepped up on that last game.
Immediately sitting for the res on Stalwart north side. Important to stay as 4 when you're pushing towards the Gladiators position. Nerzed rolling forwards in the UAS, but Top has gotten taken down as well. That is really bad news. The backstop for the roster to bring up the rear of their rotational path. Icy and Action both needing to force those heals, and Top really flagging now. The zone closing, heading towards the point where you cannot get these reses. And with Nerzed falling as well, Gladiators might have just isolated the entirety of this north side.
Yeah, Nerzed goes down. An unfortunate start for Stalwart as they get caught up in the action on that side. Gladiator split was pretty crazy. Maybe they sent Matic up towards Stalber's side to ensure there wasn't a really wide ramp, and I can kind of agree with that one. And I think it's one of the situations where you see Matic go wide and you think, oh my god, he's never coming back. He's never coming home. But this instance does return. And they did see that there was no one wrapping hard around Stalber, so can continue to play this northern side. Seems to be working out for them. GK though, finding 628 Sunan. The M249, heavy weapon.
In comes Delta from DRS though, getting a little bit of a scouting done, and Killer to move in. Maybe they want to try and third party here. Gladiators still aware that there's 2 players out in the zone. You get a replay of Action taking down Bensu and immediately stopping for the res onto Icy there. You might have to do the same now, but unfortunately with the blue zone as it is, it's just not going to be possible. The Gladiators, they want to finish the job. They want to get that final elimination, but Action doing his best to deny that opportunity. Moving over the hillside, Matic and Tixie all trying to just be a hasty position where they can spot Action, but he's out of the blue zone and safe for the time being. But for how much longer?
Gladiators. They're looking to push further down. Alpha 7 have found themselves a pretty neat little spot. First time in a while we do see Fireflux towards these later circles, towards the center as well. I mean, we kept praising them for how well they have controlled late game circles, but they have huddled far too much as of recent. And on our map as well, you can just see that they are practically on top of each other currently. Alter Ego is making their wrap over the lakeside. They passed box game, they were able to make it through, and they were on a really difficult rotate from underneath Yasnaya. fact that they've made it, it's pretty decent. DRS, once again, they make a good rotate, but it's this push into the circle itself. Which feels a bit difficult. Action gets taken down from Stalwart. A great shot from Rosemary to finish things off. And Sarah actually opens up towards DRS. And this is what I'm talking about. They just cannot find their way into the circle. Even versus a team like Reject Tokyo, just not as free as it was over in All-Stars.
They put themselves on the starter block for a good sprint, but they missed the starting pistol. And they just don't have that power to push forwards. They're left a little bit behind. Falcons get overwhelmed a little bit there by Box. Ooh, Zara is into the fray, but Killer, retribution on the bumper as he sails straight on through, picks up the frag as well. Now just Lufa from Reject Tokyo.
Yeah, this is the thing, man, as well, is that if DRS had 4 killers, this would be a very different story, but he is really the one keeping this team glued together. 628 with the 3-man buff so far that they performed marvelously well with yesterday. Maybe this is it. Maybe they have to take a little bit of damage before they can be pumping out some of their own. Nade goes over towards DRS at the moment. Yang 1 also out the side, and 33Z should be placing this nade just right.
Spray from 33Z. Quite landing just yet. A Western hard shift on this circle means Box have more ground to cover, but they've spotted Rosemary and taken knock over towards Alter Ego on their north flank. They can start to move along this coast should they want to, or just send straight into this engagement with Alter Ego. They're trying to change their minds on that.
Yeah, it's a difficult run now for a lot of these teams as we head over towards very flat ground. It's one of the more interesting finishes over towards this side because the amount of trees that are involved. I think games are quite interesting. Tixi, though, able to take down Lufa and get the res. Really important for them. A lot of times their games go downhill as soon as they take that first initial knock. They get instantly flushed a few times. Even Kitsune finding 33Z as well on that northern side. And Tixi's bagged them a spot. Nothing amazing. It's not a full apartment. It's a shack, but it'll be better than nothing.
And not too many teams are going to look for that full north wrap. I mean, Alter Ego, probably the only team that could do it. Alpha 7, not going to leave their position for it. And Box have been kind of boxed in their position, forced to go for a full fight, probably with Fireflux playing as 3. So potential relative safety for Gladiators on that northwest side as DRS are finally dispatched on the west.
Octa from Alter Ego. Slipped down the ranking so far, down to 51 points. I think they'd like to change that, considering they had a great start yesterday, and Rosemary opens things up with a nice bouncer of the 1G, but Gosu, goodness! Oh. Some great shots as he scans the open ground.
Third party from Fireflux as they spot Kwangji to take it down. Duck and Gosu now riding in the buggy with full broadside onto a lot of players here. This is a mad dash for Box to try and get out of dodge. Trong wants to get in a vehicle soon, I'd imagine, try and back up his teammate. How has his team managed to move forwards and not get shot out there? That was an impressive dash. Maybe a little bit harder the second time around. Alter Ego move in parallel. Falcons a little bit behind and have been beaten to the punch there. Alter Ego being taken apart here just a little bit. A lot of damage pouring out their way, but they have got to the shack and they have got to that cover.
Yeah, Alter Ego certainly suffering some scrapes here and there. Pull out the old band-aids, get those covered up. Doctor gets back inside, get back up to pretty happy health pools. Fireflux really have not got involved too much on any of these engagements that we complain about all the time, because we are complainers here on the casting desk.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see them take some more shots here, because right now they seem to be taking damage, not dealing much of anything. Tixi also takes a shot of his own. Ooh. That's from Alpha 7, who have found some really good shots over that way, even picking up MechCube. Senatexa will finish Tixi in the process. Fireflux have now started to hit some shots of their own over towards Team Falcons. And to keep them at bay as much as possible. Next circle to shift.
Alter Ego with 2 players on the floor, Fnatic and Potato, trying to keep them in the game. Twisted Minds are eliminated in the meantime. Rosemary close to Fnatic, but Trong is there as well. Any C14, so no DBS in the back pocket. Alpha 7, they move out of their safety over this hillside. Should be able to clean up this third party relatively easily. Duck spotted as Senatexa unleashes the entire mag their way. Doesn't get the knock for it though. A nade over the top to the position, looking for a final blow